we're coming back to you live from our homes. I'm
And I'm Zach. It's fine. It's fine. I had nothing else to say. We're moving right along. Where is the duck to transition us beautifully? Beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Duck. Thank you. Wow. Hey, and we're back, everybody. We're back. Everybody's happy about that. Clearly, why wouldn't we be?
I'm glad to be back. It's been a really long time, and you
might even say it's been a long time
without you, my friend.
But I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
Oh, I'm glad one of us will. I ain't telling you nothing. So,
do you remember? I like heavy doubt if you remember this, but do you remember I sent home when I was on my mission? I sent a video of me performing that song like a week before I came home.
I don't.
Yeah. So I sent. It was me and Ben, because Ben was my last companion. He played piano. I played guitar, his pink guitar. And we had one of the members, this teenage boy named Elvis, who was in the area. He wrote a rap.
That's so perfect.
For the rap portion about like missions and stuff, and you cannot hear a single word he says. He's so just like you can't hear a dang thing.
I want to put Sean, for our background music for this entire episode, just have that looping in the background.
It's been me singing horribly and then just him rapping.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Jesus Christ. I don't remember what it was. I have to dig that up sometime, man. Oh my gosh. Oh,
I will say, it's not a surprise I don't remember this because, man, my memory sometimes... It's so weird. My memory is either so good with the randomest things, or it's like literally the worst thing in existence.
Well,
and that's it.
Frankly, like, I was gonna say it wasn't really for you, so I don't know why you would have cared that much. I know you didn't really read my emails or anything like that because like you have whatever stuff going on. I get that.
Sean email? Yeah. I'll open it.
But I was gonna say that like it's not really for you, but then I was like, it's literally I was saying it's been a long time without you, my friend. Like, so I guess maybe it was. I don't know.
Listen, You
I
can deny it, but I know that was made specifically for me.
Zach, frankly, it was. And I wasn't even talking about, like, leaving for mission. I was talking about how we stopped talking because of Clear Creek. That's what I was singing about when we did that.
And now you know why I ignored it, because I clearly wasn't over Clear Creek yet.
You're still holding the grudge. Oh, man.
We hadn't made up yet. Spicy Nuggs didn't exist.
Yeah. No, obviously. Yeah. It makes complete sense to me. I understand.
I'm just saying, I think of my life in really three phases. One, there was the pre-Clear Creek phase, where, like, I hung out with a bunch of people, I had a bunch of friends, and then there was Clear Creek itself, what seems like another freaking lifetime in and of itself. And then there is post Clear Creek, and that's it.
Those are the phases of life.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. After you meet that pot gut that can just escape traps without setting them off and just eat the food inside. Once you experience that, you're never the same.
No, yeah. I genuinely, like, I don't know if you felt the same way, but like I remember having a blast at Clear Creek. For the most part, until Sean ruined the whole experience. But it's fine. I was a perfect boy, did nothing wrong.
Yeah, sure.
It was kind of my fault. It was kind of my fault there.
Doubt.
I'm gonna be honest. No, but I had great time. But I also remember it feeling like it was like a lifetime. Like, I remember going back home, like, man, I haven't been home in so long.
But that's the nature of those like summer camps. Even though it's like a week, you're like, this has been my whole life.
No, like, that's legit what it feels like.
When you first get there, you're like, this is kind of weird. But then by like day 2, you're like, oh, always been here. I've never not been here.
Yeah. It is what it is. I listen to Brian Regan every night. I wake up, I go pocket hunting. Like, it is what it is.
And then you get on a bus and go home, and you just like stare forward, like, what is reality?
Well, then you walk through your front door. Your room's right there. All your stuff is like, wait, I think I remember this from like a different lifetime.
These old memories. What was it was one of the fetch the Zhuangzi? Is that the
Zhuangzi?
Taoist text?
Maybe.
I think it is. The first line in it, I believe, he talked about how we don't know if we're in a dream or in reality. How, like, you could dream that you're a bird or a butterfly, and that could be just as real as you waking up and being a human. You don't know which one was which. Do you remember that? Yeah.
Vaguely, yes.
That's the Clear Creek experience.
So are you saying right now I'm actually just asleep on the top bunk in the cabin, and
Dude.
Brian Regan's still playing in the background?
Ryan Regan is about to play in like 2 minutes. It's gonna wake you right up. I'm gonna be there, and Juice is gonna be there. Was he there? Yeah, he must have been.
I think so.
Whatever. It's gonna be a party, man.
Man, I can't wait to wake up and go pocket hunting.
It's gonna be so
Dude, I'm
fun,
just saying,
bro.
tomorrow's finally gonna be the day I catch that sucker.
Dude, I honestly hope so much. We need to kill that thing.
I can't, man. We'll wake up, we're gonna do our finger sizes, we're gonna grab some breakfast, and it's straight to pocket hunting.
Have you ever thought about that? The Corby sent me like these like Reddit posts one time where it was people who have had these dreams where they just had like a normal night's sleep, or they had like a fever and they slept for a while, but they have a dream where they live out an entire life and they like fall in love, get married, have a family. It's a dream that lasts like 30 years, and then suddenly they wake up and they're like, oh my gosh, and they just have to like deal with the separation of all these things that never actually happened.
Oh my gosh.
Have you ever heard this?
I haven't had it to that extent, like, but I have had very long dreams, and sometimes these long dreams have happened in like a short amount of time, or like nights I don't get a lot of sleep, which is interesting.
Huh.
I've actually had one of my longest dreams I can remember is actually was a reoccurring dream, and it happened over the span of like, I think it was like a couple days, maybe a week. Like the whole dream was like that long. But it's interesting because the first time I had the dream, I started at the beginning of the dream and like it went to its end and I woke up, right? But the next time I had the dream, I started all the way back in the beginning, but got twice as far in the dream.
Whoa.
And it's so weird. I vividly remember being asleep. I'm like, I've had this dream before. I know what's gonna happen next. And then I just dreamt it, knowing exactly what's gonna happen. And then I got to where I left off in the dream. I'm like, perfect. Now the new stuff can happen.
You're just rewatching the first season, man.
No, that's literally what it was. It was so weird. So, like, I've had that before, but I haven't had like living like a whole life. That would be crazy.
Well, even that, what you just said, is really crazy for me. Because, like, I feel like my dreams are very self-contained experiences. Even, like last night, I had a very specific dream that I can still remember now, which is surprising. Most of the time, I can't. But it was, like, Halloween party at Clay's, and one of my companions from Brazil ended up being there. And that was, like, the extent of it. It was just, like, we were just, like, talking and hanging out, and it was just, like, it was just cool. It was just cool vibes. There was some weird stuff that happened because it's a dream and weird things happen. Something about, like, me laying on the floor under a sleeping bag while kids knocked on the door for trick-or-treats, and I just stared at them intensely, and they got freaked out. But like, that's all it was. And when I woke up, like I woke up out of the dream. It was one of those where like the dream didn't end while I was asleep. It ended when I woke up and the alarm went off.
Hmm.
And like there was like this faint feeling of like, dang it. Like just because like I was with my old friend again and now
Mm.
my friend is gone again.
Yeah.
But like I can't imagine the concept of like like where you are like experiencing this whole story and then you get to re-experience it and continue it, like be able to build off what's already happened, or B, live an entire lifetime and feel the loss that comes from realizing none of it was real. Like
Oh,
that's crazy.
I feel like my dreams, like, I feel like for the most part they're like very self-contained, like yours. Uh, Maybe that's not even true, because let me ask you this: when you're dreaming, are you ever aware you're dreaming?
I don't think I've ever really had that experience. I can't think of a time where I have. I think I'm
That's
pretty
okay.
most of the time in the dream.
Okay. Because it doesn't happen as much anymore. It still happens pretty frequently, though. I feel like I don't have as many dreams as I used to in general. But when I do have dreams, it's still pretty frequent. Um, I think we may have talked about this before, but I am. There are times I know I'm dreaming.
Right.
Um, and to the extent that like something will happen in my dream, and I'll be like, "That's stupid." I don't want that to happen. What the fetch? And I will go back in my dream, like I
Uh-huh.
don't know, like to like the scene before, and play it out differently as if something else happened, and go from there.
Whoa.
That so like I do that pretty frequently. Um, and I don't know if that can be considered lucid dreaming or not. What I've heard from lucid dreaming is that like you're like fully in the dream. You're like in there walking around, flying, and do whatever what the
Right.
crap like. So I don't know if that's lucid dreaming or what you would call that, but like I say a good half of the time I'm very aware I'm in a dream.
That's so fascinating. Okay, dude, this it's crazy. Okay. This is crazy that we're talking about this. So I just last night finished that book I was talking about last semester, Sophie's World. I finished it,
Oh yeah.
the philosophy book. And the later chapters I'm I'm kind of torn today because I kind of wanted to talk about this because it was freaking crazy, but I don't know if I want to spoil it. So instead, I think I'll just focus on some of the philosophers because that's not spoiling it. That's literally just history. So they talked about Freud near the end of the book.
Okay.
Um, and when you talk about Freud, you have to talk about dreams.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
because Freud is, for him, dreams were the door to the unconscious. So this is really fascinating to me from that standpoint because the simplified version that the book gave, obviously they're just trying to cover a lot of stuff within the book because they're giving a brief history of Western philosophy. So they don't really go into too much depth. I probably know more than that book gave, if I'm being honest, although I don't know if I could call it all to my memory. But they said that, according to Freud, dreams are about wish fulfillment. You are experiencing things in your dream that you want to happen in real life. But because it's your unconscious wish fulfillment, it's wishes from your unconscious, they're layered by symbolism so that they still seem appropriate, quote unquote, or at least random to you. That way, because a lot of times the wishes you want are not socially acceptable, and so your brain's trying to compensate for that idea. Um, and so the
Oh weird.
example it gave in the text was, let's say there's a guy and he has a dream about his cousin, just a nice girl, and she gives him two balloons. Well, according to Freud, potentially the wish fulfillment there is he really he has sexual feelings toward his cousin, and so the two balloons represent her breasts, and she is giving him her breasts, right? Um, and so then I take that concept. I'm like, okay, that's wild. The idea that dreams are wish fulfillment. I don't know how much I buy into that, but okay. But how does lucid dreaming come into that? Where you literally look at your own dream and you say, I don't like that this is happening. Let's go back and change it. That's a Huh.
I got Freud stumped. What can I say? It's all bogus.
uh,
No, but I do think that there can definitely be meaning to some dreams. Like, I like, um, sometimes if I'm stressed about like maybe I have finals coming or something, and I'll have a dream where I'm in school and something stressful happens. It's like, okay, obviously this is like a reflection of me like freaking out about finals or whatnot, right?
right.
But there I also have had dreams that I'm like, I don't know if I can even consider them at all to have any sort of meaning, even in like my unconscious, or maybe I
Yeah.
hope there's not.
Yeah. I wonder. I mean, obviously, we don't know what Freud would say. Maybe he did. Wait. Give me 5 seconds. I'm just gonna quickly Google. Uh,
Wait, actually doing research on spicy nugs? Sean. We know everything here. We don't need the power of Google. Obviously.
oh, okay. So Freud never experienced lucid dreaming himself, and didn't seem to do much research on it. But from what he said, he was skeptical that it was even the thing.
Mm.
And the Google search at least says he thought it a secondary revision of memory, which I'm not really sure what that means.
Oh, a
Second,
secondary revision. Because
like
I
he
almost wonder if... So, like, let's say you are lucid dreaming, and you can do whatever you want to be... You can, like, will anything into existence.
Uh-huh.
Is maybe the things that you would want to be in your dream would come from the unconscious still?
I think I just clicked on the article. It says, furthermore, he thought that if it was possible, it would only censor the dream's message. So I think he's arguing the opposite of that. I think he's saying if you are um, consciously playing with your dream, then that is not coming from the unconscious at all.
Hmm. Okay.
So then that would be all almost voiding out any message or meaning that the dream had initially.
Yeah. So then me going back and changing what happens in my dream is going against my own unconscious desires.
Well, that's the interplay. It honestly falls really well into line with Freud's theories anyway, because like that's the interplay between the id and the superego. The superego wants things to be socially acceptable, and the id is just your base emotions. And so the unconscious is like serving up those kind of base emotions. And so then lucid dreaming is almost like a higher form of the superego being like, no, we're not doing that. So, really interesting, actually,
In the case, well, okay, think of it this way. In the case of lucid dreaming, where like maybe or just dreams in general, would it be your conscious desire or your unconscious desire that is your actual desire, or is it like a mixture of both?
Uh, I think. Well, I think in the case of dreaming, you said without lucid dreaming,
Either or.
either or. I think typically, again, if we're looking at what Freud said, he is saying that dreams are the door to the unconscious. So if you want to understand someone's unconscious, you look at their dreams, and that will require some uh, interpretation of the symbolism, because again, there's like some layers being put over top of it
Right.
by the superego, but it's still like your base desires in that case, according to him, which again, whatever. uh, yeah, it's dreams are, man. I'm trying to decide how long have we been recording.
23 minutes.
Okay, I might be taking us off in a weird direction here.
All right, I'm for it. Hang on. Don't do it yet. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Duck. Thank you, everybody. Hey, thank you, Duck. Thank you.
He's doing a great job this episode.
He's doing a great job. He's getting that promotion. I'm just saying. Okay, so one of the concepts that the book touched on, and this connects with what we've been talking about dreams, is the idea of reality. And we've talked about this type of thing before, but the idea of how do we know anything's real? Um, I don't know, lots of existentialism questions within that, stuff like
Okay.
that. Maybe we're all brains in jars. Maybe the Matrix is happening, whatever, all that kind of stuff. All right. So, or maybe this is all a dream and we're going to wake up as someone completely different. Who knows?
Right.
Whatever.
We're going to wake up back in Clear Creek.
Exactly. We wake up back in Clear Creek. Man. I love that's the new canon. Spicy Nuggs is just our dreams from Clear Creek. That's a great canon to have for the series.
It makes a lot of sense.
It does. It makes total sense. Yeah. Like wish fulfillment. We're still friends years in the future, despite our fight at Clear Creek. Like this is exactly
the amount of poop jokes that are made in Spicy Nuggs. I mean, it just goes back to our real maturity levels as sleeping at Clear Creek. So
it makes complete sense. Okay, so I've talked about this a long time ago because I read an article in a philosophy class about absurdism within like nihilism or existentialism. The idea that okay, what if all of this is a dream? What if none of this is real? Like, then isn't it just kind of stupid? Like, how much effort we put into tiny things, like how much focus we put onto like the smallest of minutest things when like none of it really matters, like how much effort we put into crap like that.
right.
um yes. Okay. So how do I approach this? I don't know.
That's always the hardest part.
I know.
Having this thought, like, how do I even start this?
I know. um okay, so one of the things the book did, and I won't go into detail or spoil anything, because
Okay.
I think the book actually, this is a book where if I spoil anything, it ruins the entire experience. So I
Mm.
will not do that. Um, but one of the things the book did is talk about how in recent years, absurdist kind of media has come into play. And I read quite a few of these examples in my nihilism class, where it's like people will be doing like the most freaking crazy, stupid crap, but everyone treats it as if it's the most normal thing ever. And because of that, it creates this like it's funny, but also at the same time, it's like what the fetch is going on, and it feels kind of freaky. Um, and
Do you
that's
have
used.
an example off the top of your head?
Um,
If not, it's fine.
yeah, in the book they use the example of, and I can come up with another one, but in the book they use the example of Charlie Chaplin, actually, like silent movies.
Okay.
How he's like constantly doing like all these pratfalls and falling and like hurting himself, grabbing onto things and getting whisked away, and people just like move on with their lives. Like it's not a big deal that any of that is happening, even though it's like freaking Looney Tunes level
Yeah.
crap going on. The other example I think of is, I talked about it briefly last semester, the book Waiting for Godot that I read in Nihilism, which was that play where they were just sitting around waiting for someone,
Oh, yes.
and they kept talking about, they just like kept, nothing really happens, but like all the stuff they said, it was just like so freaking insane. Like they talked about killing themselves just to kill time, and like
Yeah.
it's just, but it was just like treated as completely normal. um so from an absurdist point of view, almost everything we do is just ridiculous, and like what's the point? And so I wonder, and like, I guess this is where the question comes in, if we can even find an answer to this question. From an absurdist point of view, how do you deal with life? Like, how do
Oh,
you deal with
jeez.
the fact that you gotta keep doing all of this stuff? Like, um, because it feels so ridiculous at that point. And maybe that's like the answer where it's just like it's ridiculous, so like let's just keep having fun with it. But I don't know. Um,
So,
any thoughts?
a little bit of a clarification. Um,
Yeah,
because I personally haven't read anything about like absurdist philosophy.
no
Um,
worries.
is it that we simply don't exist? Like, or why does like how is what does existence look like?
It depends. I think there's lots of different types of absurdist philosophy. It
Sure.
can be like we were talking about that none of this actually exists. Maybe we're all just dreaming this, and maybe we're not. But it can also be just like the very nihilistic view, like we're tiny specks floating on a rock through space, and it's all pure chance that all of this happened anyways. So like, isn't all of this kind of just ridiculous that we're even like trying this hard when inevitably we're all gonna die anyways, and like crap like that. I think it can be either or maybe even more than that. And I don't really know much more to say than that.
No,
But does
okay,
that
okay,
clarify
yeah,
it?
no, no, that's good, that's good.
Okay.
Cause my initial, and I don't know if this is it would satisfy an absurdist philosophy or not. Probably not, but perhaps you can think of it this way. Whether we are in the Matrix, we are a brain in a jar, or maybe we're going to wake up tomorrow into the real world that we didn't know is actually the real world. We're in some sort of limbo or something.
Uh,
At the end of the day, I think that you can be at least confident you exist in some form. What kind of form that is, whether that is a brain in a jar or you are in the Matrix, the fact that we're here and thinking and
mm,
are we is proof enough that we exist in some manner, no matter what that manner is. And so I would say it would be best to live the way you would be proud of as if this is your real existence,
mm,
because you don't know. Maybe you will wake up as a find out you're a brain in a jar later, but maybe you never will know, or maybe you simply aren't. And since you
mm,
can't be sure, you should err on the side of caution and just live how you would normally live.
mm. I see that. That's good. You leaned into the I think therefore I am,
Yeah, yeah.
which also they covered in the book.
That's actually like one of the first like concepts I got introduced to in my philosophy 1010 class way back in the day. Was I
Oh,
think therefore
really?
I am? Yeah. And like
You
we
know
talked
what's
about the Matrix and being brains and jars and all that. So that was fun.
you know what's funny about that is that was one of the first concepts we talked about in nihilism, and we very quickly immediately started looking at people who were like, but what if not though? Who were like
Interesting.
very I can't remember who they were. It's been too long now, which is a bummer. But they were like, I think therefore I am. No, not necessarily. You don't know that for sure either.
Well,
Oh shoot.
wasn't the two um like the only two conclusions that came from that whole thing was that I exist and that God exists?
Yes.
And
And that's
that you can't even be sure anybody else exists, but you at those two things you can be pretty certain of.
yeah, he said that I think therefore I am. I know that I'm thinking, so I know that I exist. And he said that I know that um the concept of a higher being exists because everybody seems to know about it and I knew about it, and so it must also exist. I feel like that part's a little flimsier if I'm being
It
honest.
definitely is.
Uh but it's I still I like I always really liked those concepts, even though I also see like where they break apart in some places, if that makes sense. It's ah man, it's a headache.
Welcome to philosophy. But they're good headaches.
Yeah. Anyways, as you can see, this thought process had no beginning and had no end. So here we are.
So did that thought actually exist?
Dude, we don't know if any of this exists.
It's true.
Yeah. We could all this hmm. No. Okay, never
Well,
mind.
I mean, actually, Sean. Let me put. I know everything to tie on because I have the
Oh,
answers.
please. Yeah, please, Zach.
Obviously, this conversation exists. I'll tell you why.
Sure.
That's
Please.
because we already know for a fact that we're gonna wake up in Clear Creek later. So that must mean this conversation at least exists within a dream.
I'm gonna be honest. It is really hard to take this covers and this line of thinking seriously when you're just like turning into a robot while speaking.
I mean, it's fine. It wasn't serious anyway, so here we are.
I heard something about Clear Creek. I was like, I have no idea what's going on. Thank you all so much for joining us today on this wonderful adventure. And the crazy part is, we don't even know if they joined us because we don't even know if any of this actually exists.
It's true. It's true.
So anyways, I hope to wake up in Clear Creek pretty soon, Zach. Honestly.
Man, I'm still waiting. Maybe tomorrow's the day. We'll go to sleep tonight and wake up in Clear Creek. It'll be great.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, it's been a long day without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. Come a long way where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Thank you all so much for watching. I'm still Zach.
I'm still Sean.
We'll see you next time.
Zach is right. Zach is always right. Sean is wrong. Always very wrong.
Sean is right. Sean is always right. Zach is wrong. Zach is very wrong. Do 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 do. Important.
Now
Whatever,
you
it's
can
fine.
go.
Okay, it is that important. So I opened Discord and I typed out "Why hello, my dear boy" and hit send. As soon as I hit send, my Wi-Fi extender down here just gave up life. Like immediately. And I was like, gosh dang it. So then I check the other Wi-Fi and the router is working fine. It's just the extender. So I unplug that and replug it back in and then connect to the router. And I'm like, okay, great. It just means I don't have full bars because it's not right next to my computer, whatever. But then, so now the extender is back up. I'm looking at the screen that has both the router connection and the extender connection. And they have the same amount of bars, even though one of those things is in the same room as me, literally right next to my computer. Why would this be the way it is, Zach?
Well, obviously,
Yeah, that's what I thought. I honestly didn't know if it was just a weird pause because of the Discord and the weird internet, or if that you just were thinking.
it was both. No, it was me. One signal is just a lot stronger in general than the other, and yep. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Why is my life so hard, Zach?
I will say you haven't all randomly cut out.
You'll say what?
What?
Zach?
Oh no. You're messing with me. You're messing with me.
No, I'm not.
You're
I
kidding.
will say, and then you just cut off.
No!
I was like, what happened?
No! Wow, I legit just said. I will say you haven't cut out randomly yet.
You've been cutting out a lot.
Oh, Sean, so you didn't fix your internet between last episode and this episode. Is what
I'm
hearing.
blaming you, dude, because apparently I'm coming through fine, but you're the one having problems.
I will have you know, it literally cannot be me.
Why would
Here's
that be?
why. Here's why.
Tell me why.
I have an Ethernet cable that is plugged directly into the router.
Nah, man, Ethernet. That's the government trying to get you down, man.
Yeah. Hey, look, Matt. Listen. I thought the same thing. That's why all these years I just had my little Wi-Fi adapter. But then hear me out. Hear me out. Here I was playing games. I was lagging. It wasn't very enjoyable. I was like, you know what? Maybe let's just try this Ethernet thing that everybody keeps talking about. Let's just try it. So I go to Amazon. I buy one. It shows up in a few days. I plug it in. Man, I'm going to tell you. My life will never be the same.
That's the government, man. They're trying to get you. They're trying to wire you into all of their networks. That's what they want from you, man.
Are you saying that the moment I bought an Ethernet cable, the government went to my Wi-Fi provider and was like, listen, he just bought an Ethernet cable. You have to give him better speeds now. So
All
it
I'm
seems
saying-
like it's doing something.
All I'm saying is that, like, you assume you're so free now, but how could you possibly claim you're free when you still make poopy where they tell you to? You know what I mean?
No!